Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with layout 24 of 42. These are the 42 layouts that I got done at a crop back in October. I made 48 page kits and actually managed to get 42 of them done. And this one here, still no different than all the other page kits, is loaded with scraps. And I'm trying so hard to use my scraps because although I love, new pattern papers and cutting into new some pattern papers, the fact that, you make one little page with it and you use 2 or 3 inches of it and then it goes into your pile, that's not using up your, $1.20 or however much a pattern paper is. So that's why I'm trying to get as many pages done with the scraps. Now I had 4 photos for this layout. They were all approximately 2 by 2. I ended up cutting some strips at about 2 by 6, and I'm just going to sort of cover the background, make a border with it, and then I'm going to add my photos over top. Now I knew that my pictures were going to take a big part of that, so there was no sense putting pattern paper underneath, so because it was going to cover it anyway, unless the pattern paper, if I would have cut it a little bigger, let's say 2 by 7, and then the pattern paper would have been bigger, then I could have put it underneath. But I just wanted a different look. I wanted so that the pattern papers were, about the same size as my 4 photos. And then I'm going to take those 2 leftover ones, and I made sure that they were the same pattern paper, and then it looks like it's the whole length of the photo and not just 2 by 6 strips that I just kind of stuck at the top and the bottom of the layout. I had a piece of grid paper that I'm going to use that for my journaling. I ended up putting that at the left of the layout. I'm going to start working on my embellishment clusters. One thing that I've changed over the years is years ago I used to do the shuffle. So I used to put something, someplace, and then I would shuffle it around my layout, and it would take me hours to get a layout done. And now my motto is stick it. So if I see something and I'm like, yep, I like that, I just start sticking down. You know what? You can always lift it up if you really don't like it. And, a background, a cardstock like this is what, maybe 50 cents? So it's not a big deal. A lot of those were scraps, so even if I ruined a little piece of pattern paper, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I found that ever since I started doing that, not doing the shuffle, but doing the stick it, I get way more layouts done and in a quicker time. This layout took me 18 minutes. So, because as soon as I knew, okay, I started cutting some strips. And I have to say, even as I'm doing this layout and I'm putting everything down, I'm a big multitasker. I like to kind of think ahead. I'm a planner. So while I was doing this, I'm already thinking of maybe different types of layouts that I've done in the past. So then I can go, okay, well, next layout, maybe I can do, punching out circles, or I can do strips, or things like that. And then if I open my page kit and I see something that I'm like, oof, I want to do this, because I like the sizes of the pattern paper, well, I tuck that idea that I had, I still have it. I do that for that layout, and then I do that other layout a later time. Another thing I do when I go to these crops, I have my go-to layouts, the L shape, the little strips like this, the divide it in half, divide it in 4, divide it in 2, divide it, I have some go-to layouts. And then when I start working, that's how I start. And then the more layouts I do, the more inspired I get, and then I don't have to fall back on those go-to layouts as much. And even though you do, let's say divide it in two, it's totally going to do, look different, because the way you're going to cut your pattern papers are going to be different. The embellishments that you put on are going to be different. So, and it could be in a totally different year in your album. So nobody's going to notice that you kind of started with the same base. So starting next week, I'm going to start working on my project 100 again, and I'm going to try and get 100 page kits ready to go in my scrap room. I think right now I probably have maybe 6 or 7. That's it. So I would have a little bit to do, if I ran out of these pages, but I'm about halfway there. So I need to get some of these page kits done. And maybe what I can do is, sometime maybe in February, kind of dedicate a whole day where I'm going to sit in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to be working on making videos for YouTube and using up those page kits and making a ton of pages. Like if I start at 8 o'clock in the morning and I go till 8 o'clock at night, and hopefully get, like 17 pages done. I'm kind of excited to get some new pages done because I got a new printer, which is an Epson EcoTank ET8500, which is a photo printer. It can only print up to an A4 size, but I think that's big enough. There's only once in a while that I would do a page that is like a picture that is beyond that. So I'll be happy with that. If I can do an 8x10 photo, I'll take it. But what I like the most about that is that I actually have a photo editor, I guess, that came with the printer. And it's basically like my pick frame app. And there's different things actually on that program that you can use, but one of them is like my pick frame app, so I can add a bunch of small photos or bigger photos, and I am loving it. And I can print it at home for a fraction of the price that I can print it away. And it's an EcoTank, so it's not as if I'm exchanging those cartridges. With my Canon Pro, I kind of tweaked it so that I could add my own ink, which worked fine, but it was a little messy. And with this new printer, it's no longer messy. Now, I wouldn't have gone and bought another printer, but my Canon Pro 100 isn't working anymore. I think I like the fact that I can work on my computer and not on my phone. That's the best part, because I can actually see, really well what it's going to print. And now I'm doing the journaling. Thankfully, I did the journaling before going to the crop, so it was easily done. And when I came home, I was able to put all those pages in my album. But that's it. That's going to complete this layout. And just a reminder, my digital prints are still at an extra 20% off with Jan 2022. So that's a total of 70% off on the embellishments. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.